Hello everybody. Today we're going to reassemble a Samsung Solstice. Model number is SGH-A887. Cut it all apart. I'm going to put it back together for you. I'm not responsible for anything you do to your phone because of this video. This is just for educational purposes. So let's start this process. Here's the top of the phone. I'm going to flip it over. First thing we're going to put in, and don't forget to do this because you're going to be taking the whole phone apart to put it back in again. This is the button pad. Just put it in at the bottom like that. This is the LCD. It goes in to this area and there's an adhesive around the edge, so basically you just need to drop it in. You'll note that there's a little rectangular part on the top of the phone. Right there. And a rectangular part on top of the top cover. So basically put it in with two rectangles matching each other, otherwise you get it upside down and you have to take it apart again, and that's not fun. So basically press it in, and that's the LCD into the top cover. This flex cable is for the touchscreen, this is for the LCD. Okay, next step. I'm going to put the die-cast metal. There's a die-cast metal chassis in the center of this phone, and here it is. When you're taking this phone apart, this die-cast metal chassis, as you'll see, has a little double-sided adhesive membrane right here, and that's basically, glues the two halves together. So now again, it's only tape, so you can take it apart, but the first time you're taking it apart, there's going to be a lot of resistance because of that little adhesive. Second time, it won't be so much. So, next step. Put that in like that. You'll note that I left the antenna cable in because it's less of a hassle than taking it out, put it in. You can leave it on and still take apart the phone, so don't worry about it. So next, this clips in. Just press it down, you'll hear it snap in. Bingo. Now this phone has two microphones on it. I'm assuming one is for speakerphone, the other one is for regular talking. There's a little rubber grommet that comes with it, and it fits in right there. You'll notice that there's a square opening on the top, hole on the outside. So you want the hole on the rubber grommet facing the outside of the phone, and the rectangular square open at the top. Put it in, push it in like that. That's all there is to it. It's just rubber, holds on to that. Next is the other microphone at the very bottom, which is right here, hooked up to a flex cable. So basically it fits in like that. There's a little bit of adhesive on the back of it, so once you put it in, you want to stay in. But basically, that's what you need to do. Okay. Make sure your grommet's still in. It is good. Next step we're going to put in will be the speakerphone, microphone, and antenna assembly. So we'll make sure that we sneak that underneath that antenna cable, like that. You'll see a tab in the very center here on both the chassis and the microphone assembly. Press it in, push it down. It just clicks in. Next, we have the connector. So we basically push that down, align it if you can, and it just pops in there like that. Next is the antenna connection right here, and that's another friction fit. So basically it just snaps into that little circle. Press it down, and that's locked in. Next step you'll see that there's a speaker and a vibrating assembly here. Neither one of those items need to be taken off. They can stay on the chassis when you're disassembling and assembling the system, but they're connected to the lower half through this little connector. So basically you have a green connector, well not green, but you have the tape with green connector over it, a connector with green tape over it, and you lift the locking tab to 90 degrees, no further than that. You get it past 90, you'll bust it right off. Then you're done. Basically, then you sneak in the flex cable underneath. You'll note there's a white line on that flex cable. That white line needs to align with the white edges of the connector. So push it in till it aligns with the white edges. That's how you know you've got it in all the way. I use my tweezers for that. You can use whatever you like. I suggest get tweezers. Then lock the tab down, and that's it. They're in. Next step, mainboard. Now, the mainboard goes in this fashion. Power. These are the volume, I believe the volume, and the lock switch right there. On the back, you see a broad connector, goes to this broad connector, like this. Press it, you hear a click, and that's it, it's in. Fold it down, like so. And now it's just up to you which order you want to put these cables in. Personally, I put this one in first, holds it down, and the antenna cable, but you know, come up with your own system for that. I find the antenna cable to be the biggest pain out of all of them, but maybe it's because my fingers are big, but that's why we have tweezers. Make sure you align it, and then it just presses on, like that. Okay, next we'll have the scroll or volume buttons. I'm not sure which one they are. They just basically push it back into that little slot there, and there's some adhesive on the back so it'll stick there. Next is another kind of flex connector, one of those little ones. Lift the tab to 90 degrees, no further. Slide the flex cable in. I use a combination of my finger and the tweezers to get that in there, and don't force it too hard. They are a little tricky to get in. And there we go. Now it has a white line as well, and you push it in all the way till the white line on the PCB and the white line on the connector are together. Then lock down the connector. And that's it. Next is the lock button assembly, flex cable, so just push it back down in there. There's some adhesive on the back. It's not going to go anywhere. Next is the lock button itself. You'll note that it has a little hook around the back to keep it on there. So make sure when you're putting it on that you put the hook around the back of the chassis, like that. And that's it. That lock button is on and working. Next, make sure everything's good. Make sure you're seated correctly. Everything's nice and steady and rock steady there. Okay. Then we have the up and down button, I believe, or maybe volume. I'm not sure, either one. It has a little black tab on the bottom, as you can see. It goes in at the bottom of this switch assembly and just snaps in. That's it. It's in. Next, back cover. Right there. I've got 3 screws in it in the back cover. I couldn't get them out. Doesn't matter. Once they're unscrewed, they'll just pop right off. It doesn't matter. So we'll assemble it. Press it down. Next step is put in your 6 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's it. The phone is assembled. Next step, of course, is get your battery out, put your battery in, case back on, test it out. And just like that, your phone is reassembled. Thanks for watching. Watch my other video where I take the phone apart.